Jasmine Jasavizzi is here. Don't forget to tap into the Darts podcast.
Tap into the Darts podcast for UFC best bets and breakdowns.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live for another episode of the Darts podcast. Coming off a wild UFC 308 card where you better be slipping because, oh my God, Max Holloway, the granite chin was cracked. Ilia Topuria, bow down. That meme of him standing over Volk and Holloway, oh, that's cold, man. He is the new featherweight king. Robert Whittaker submitted for the first time in 13 years. His teeth shattered by Hamzat. What a card, guys. I mean, absolutely insane stuff. The Mr. Plus parlay bus cashes 3 out of the last 4. The Slick Report last 3 cashes. He's on a roll. Fellas holding it down over here at the Darts. And Mr. Plus, I just got to get your reaction before we move on to UFC Edmonton. I mean, UFC 308, what a card.
Yeah, I was happy to cash in another bus, but I was even happier to watch that main event, which was super electric from the point out in the beginning to Max Holloway landing some good bombs of his own and then getting hit really hard. I don't think we've ever seen Max Holloway hit that hard, and we all know what happened after that.
Yeah, man, it broke my heart. It crushed a piece of my soul. A huge Holloway fan, but I know you cashed on Ilia by finish, so he got it done in a major way. Slick. Moving on to this week, UFC Edmonton, sneaky good fight night card. We like these ones. What's your favorite fight on the card or one that you have circled?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of fights that I would say is worthy, but I'm looking at this fight that's I would say is real underrated, and it's the Cidi versus Garrett Armfield fight. I think that's going to be a banger. We'll talk about it more, but I think that has Fight of the Night written all over it.
I love it, man. Watching the Cidi versus Ramon Tavares fight, doing some tape study for this card was an absolute pleasure. That was a bloodbath. So, yeah, that one should be good. I like the look there. All right, guys, UFC Edmonton, we're back in Canada. Canada needs some heroes, man. They've been struggling in MMA lately.
We need new heroes.
And let's kick things off right away with the Mr. Plus
Parlay bus, bet it all in trust. Jabs and hooks, it's all about the rush. Put it down on the underdog, never hush. Odds stack high, feel the thrill, that's a must. And I'll see you when that shit cashes. Celebrate the wins with clinks and flashes. From the cage to the payout stashes.
Perhaps some Canadians driving you to the cash counter. Some locals, gotta have the locals drive you around, right? So who are you rolling with? 3 fighters, put them together, plus 173. Tell me who you got.
We're driving this bus up to the Canadian banks, and we're going to make some money in Canada this week with our boy Cal on the 1s and 2s. Let's roll another Mr. Plus bus into the cash counter. And the first leg of this bus, back to the first fight of the night, I'm taking Youssef Zalal. Man, this guy is a freak of nature. If you remember, he did fight Ilia Topuria, the champ. He was favored coming into that fight, and although he took the L, this guy's looked really good ever since, man. That last win against Jarno Aarons, the one before that against Billy Q, man, this kid is really putting it on. I think he moves up fast. He's got those 2 submissions back-to-back. And then, you know, we saw what happened to Jack Shore against a step up in competition. Someone like Joe Anderson Brito knocked him out with the doctor stoppage. You know, I really think that Youssef Zalal beats Jack Shore up. I know Jack Shore has a lot of experience, 17-2 record, but give me Youssef Zalal. Leg number 1 is Youssef Zalal. And for that second leg, you know, I'm going back to Cody Gibson. I just think he has more ways to win. There's more ways for him to win this fight. Plus, he's got that confidence from the last fight, right? I think that he's got this. He's better almost everywhere. But one thing about Cody is he's a passive fighter. So I think we'll have to take the aggression route and probably you go first, Cody. As long as he does that and he's not back against the cage, I really think he can end this fight or do what he wants to do and get a unanimous decision. And let me jump into the last leg. I think I already let the cat out of the bag. I'm going Mike Malott, Mr. Canada Superman himself. I think this is a great opportunity for him to bounce back after that Neil Magny loss. Nobody expected that. He was a 1-3 favorite and lost that fight. I think this is a great spot for him. Although I'll tell you, I do like the over 1.5 rounds in this Mike Malott versus Trevin Giles. I think that's a gift. But Mike Malott hits hard. He's a durable fighter. I don't really know what happened to him in that last fight against Magny. Maybe you guys can touch on that a little bit more. But I think this is a perfect opportunity for him to get back in the win column. I know he's one of Canada's favorite fighters. Be Mike Malott, and I think he gets it done by knockout in the late second or early third.
I like it, man. Put them together plus 173. You got Youssef Zalal starting the night off. You got Cody Gibson, and you got Mike Malott in a big spot. Yeah, looking to bounce back. So, Slick, let's review some of these, and Cal, too, because Cal on the ones and twos is a Canadian himself. I know I have Canadian takes. Know he's close to some of the Niagara top team guys and has the insider info. So we'll have to hear from him. Starting off with the Moroccan, though, Youssef Zalal, the Moroccan devil. Slick, my goodness, this is the second stint in the UFC since he came back, like Plus mentioned. He's been on a tear. Grappling is crafty. It's slick. And his striking is good, too. He's rangy. He's fast. I think that he has this in the bag here. He looked really good against Aarons, who brought the heat, came out firing at him, and immediately just high IQ move, put it into grappling, backpacked him, submitted him. I think he'll be a better everywhere. What do you think about this matchup?
Yeah, I would say even the difference between these two that you guys didn't even talk about is this guy's durability. The way he's able to eat shots, the way he's able to just keep coming forward. Like the guy lasted 3 rounds with Topuria. That just goes to show you that proves a lot nowadays, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, I love Youssef Zalal, man. We've been cashing on him back-to-back fights by sub. I'm gonna go at it again. I like him by sub in this spot. One, like you said, one thing I love about him is his fight IQ. He knows when to take the takedown, when to get the fight down to the ground. And when he's down there on the ground, man, this is a guy that scrambles with Brandon Royval every day. So you know he's ready for the scrambles. He's ready for the opportunities to hop on that neck. And that was the one thing that we seen. What was worried about him in the UFC was his finishing ability. Now he got some finishes on the regional scene. He came back to the UFC, start aiming for the finish more, not really trying to last in there. So I think this is the same thing. Jack Shore is pretty good, has good experience. But the one thing that we know about him already is that when he fought Ricky Simon, whenever he's getting the wrestling initiated with him, he's not really that good defensively. So I think it's a good spot for Zalal.
I agree, man. I'm going to look for the submission prop too. Plus, I think it might be like, it's got to be probably plus 250, plus 300, maybe upward of that range. Like Slick said, he got subbed by Ricky Simon. If Zalal gets that body triangle, you're stuck there, right? If he takes your back, you're in trouble. So I think I might try out that submission. What do you think of that, Mr. Plus?
Submission or decision is the way to go for this one. I like the double chance submission decision. You're going to get decent money on that. Could be even money. Listen, Jack Shore's no slouch, so the line is what it is. But I'm taking Youssef Zalal to stay in the win column. I think this guy's a monster.
No, you're right. Let me give him his respect. Like, he's a solid kickboxer, solid, very good grappler in his own right. But I just think that Zalal will be quicker, more scrambly, like Slick was talking about. I was training with Royval. Just a crafty, slick grappler. So, yeah, we like Zalal too. Let's move on to your next leg. Cody Gibson, the math teacher. I mean, this guy's kind of a hard-nosed fighter, right? He just won't go away. Like, he's got a ton of experience. What is he, like 20-10? And some of his losses are to solid competition. Aljamain Sterling on the record. I mean, Douglas De Silva Andrade, Miles John's more recent loss. But those are pretty good fighters, right? So I think he can beat a veteran here. What is he, 37 years old, and Chad Anheliger, Slick, 13-7, who beat Charlampos Gregorio and made me look like an idiot for taking him. Charlampos is not UFC caliber, apparently. But I don't know if he can repeat something like that. Gibson a lot bigger, too, in this matchup. You think he can impose his size here?
Yeah, that was the worry of Gibson going into that Brian Kelleher fight. You know, like he was always one of those guys that will just want to get hit before he really start getting activated. You know, like he was waiting for a lot of opportunities, with missing opportunities. But I really loved what he did against Brian Kelleher, man. We seen him move forward, we seen him push the pace, and the one thing I love about him too is that when he seen the opportunity to get that guillotine, he took it. And if you really see Chad's record, he's 6 of his 7 losses have come by sub. So I think this is a good spot for maybe, you know, Cody Gibson hurts him on the feet, shoots a sloppy takedown, because that's how a lot of his subs have come apart. And plus, a lot of people that he has fought too haven't really been opportunistic sub artists like Cody Gibson is. You know, if he hops on that neck early, I could definitely see him getting that sub.
All right, there you go. So I don't even know if it's a submission necessarily that I'd be worried about for Anheliger here. I just think he's at such a huge size disadvantage that Cody can just move forward and impose his will here. If they clinch, at range, he'll just be the bigger guy. It's a tough fight for Anheliger. So I like it. Plus, I like Gibson. And finally, a fight that we'll probably all agree on. It's proper Mike Malott looking to bounce back. He just gassed against Magny, right? I mean, he was dominating Magny before that moment. Ran out of gas, didn't measure his pace, I guess, and so be it, right? But before that, he was riding high, man. His stock was real high. So let's not flip sides too quick, Cal. I love the video you put out on Malott, right? Let's not just flip the narrative like that. He's not a fraud. Magny's a tough son of a gun, so it happened. I like it a lot, Mr. Plus. Slick, and then we'll go to Cal after you, Slick. What do you think about Mike Malott against Trevin Giles, a guy that he's grappled with before and defeated?
Yeah, this is definitely a good spot for a bounce back for Mike Malott. Trevin Giles, he's just one of those guys that if you really don't have power in your hands or you really don't have good grappling, he's going to beat you. He's one of those somewhat all-around fighters, that has a nice jab. This is just one spot that I'm really going to bet on Mike Malott, and I'm really hoping and praying he shoots a takedown within the first minute or so, because the one thing I really hate about him, to play devil's advocate, is his striking defense. Like Mickey Gall in that fight where he knocked him out he was getting pieced up by Mickey Gall. And then even in that Neil Magny fight, when he got tired, his striking defense went from good to zero. So I'm hoping he just gets Giles out of there, shoot some wrestling, get the wrestling going. I don't think if Giles gets down on the mat, I don't think he survives that much. So I think it's a good spot for a sub for Mike Malott.
Yeah, I mean, Cal, primary boxer in Giles, right? So probably going to be able to take him down if he's heavy on the lead leg. Hopefully it gets to the mat. What do you think of Mike Malott in the bounce back spot?
Yeah, I think Mike will probably use his kickboxing, which is actually pretty solid, to keep Giles at bay, make him try to crash the pocket. When he does, he's either going to be, caught with a big hook and or taken down. You might see Malott get on the body lock early. I think the biggest mistake he made in the Magny fight, it's not overall cardio that's the issue. It was energy systems. In that third round, he went aggressive on the takedowns. And then just found himself with no gas at the end of it, right? So for him, it's just a matter of managing his time well. And I think the biggest mistake on his part is he identifies as a fucking killer. He wants to be the guy who goes in and finishes, and he didn't need to finish Magny in that fight. He could have won a decision handily. So I just think Malott will be able to use his kicks to keep Giles at bay, land when he needs to as he enters, take him down. I like Malott by sub, likely a club and sub, because Giles' head soft is as soft can be, really. But yeah, man, I'm with you guys on this one.
Well, I think you should give Giles a little more credit than that. He's got some pop in his jab. He can box a little bit, but I agree. I mean, Mike Malott's kickboxing isn't bad at all, right? He's got some sting in that left hook. He can throw heavy kicks to the body as well, and maybe, like you said, he can keep him at bay with the kickboxing, then implement the grappling. Mr. Plus, are you betting on any props for Mike Malott here? Do you think a second round finish, perhaps?
I think it's going to be a late KO. I could see the sub, but I really like a late KO. I think he's going to be definitely more than willing to stand and trade, right? And like you said, kickboxer fight. So I think they're going to be duking this one out, and I see Mike Malott ending it with a big finish, big right.
Looking to return the KO here for vengeance.
One thing I will say, because they've grappled before, Malott pretty much took him down at will, had his back at will, and because he's felt him before, there's a strong possibility, him being with the guy with the fight IQ, that he's going to go where he feels exactly comfortable and in control of this fight.
Yeah, exactly. They were in a regional or a grappling tournament, and Malott just kind of handled him. But in that one, you didn't have a ground and pound available, so include that now, and Mike Malott might get the savage finish, maybe a late knockout, Mr. Plus predicting. All right, moving on to the Slick Report.
Yeah. Check this. He's the master of the breakdown. The slick moves. That's made Kappa. Billy's financing improved.
And let's go for 4 in a row, Slick. This week, you alluded to it. You got an exciting fight to talk about. Who do we got?
Yeah, we're going with Sergey Cidi, man. Money line. You get him right now. DraftKings minus 148. I just think this is a good spot. He's coming back off that Ramon Tavares loss. A lot of people thought that he won that fight. And one thing that really I loved about him in that fight is no matter how many times he had got knocked down, he still got up and fought that fight. He was in there all 3 rounds, no cardio issues, no matter what he was able to dish out. And that's one thing I really like about him against a guy like Armfield, that that wants to fight clean, wants to fight, to get his counter punches going. And I just don't think CD is gonna allow him to. He's gonna put the pressure on him. And that's one thing. One thing that I've seen about Garrett Armfield is that he doesn't wear damage good. A lot of his fights outside the regional scene. I'm not like Brad Katona. I'm not really gonna count that fight. He's not a good power puncher. David Onama hurt him on the feet earlier in the fight, but David Onama is more experienced in the UFC. And I was just watching his regional tape, and I just wasn't impressed the way he was able to react to damage, react to a lot of those punches outside. I just think CD has good power, good pop in his punches. I think he's gonna be there all 3 rounds. I think he's the more durable fighter. And this is just a spot that, Canadians, like I always say, man, like I would say this is my slogan. Like if it's 1-1 going into the third, I 1000% going to trust CD with his pressure. Keep going forward, keep putting the punches, keep putting the volume out there. So I think this is just a good spot for us, the Canadians, to get a bounce back in Canada.
We'll take you, Slick. We'll take you, Slick. We'll take you on. We'll adopt you. Come north.
Cal going to want us to take some Canadian fighters here. It's going to be music to his ears. Slick rolling with Sergey Cidi in this spot. Minus 148 now, he said. Get it while it's hot. Mr. Plus, awesome last fight against Ramon Tavares. What are you thinking about him this fight?
Definitely an awesome last fight versus Ramon. However, that could have went either way, right? That was a split decision. And the fight right before that, they fought before, and they said it was an early stoppage, but Cidi was putting it on him that fight. We all saw that. I think we all had him that fight as well. I like the line, Slick. I really do. I think there's value on that. It might not be plus money, but there's value all over it because I could see him being a minus 250 for this fight. He's got the length. He's got the height. He's going to have a little reach advantage, leg reach advantage. He likes to strike. He's very explosive. I'm with you, man. I'm taking Cidi. No brainer. I mean, if you're losing to Brady Houston and split decisions, not split, but unanimous decision over Brad Katona, can't put him away. The loss to Onama, yeah, he got beat up. So I like Cidi here to get us a victory. Go Canada.
Yeah, man, I got to agree. I love CD in this spot. Just like Slick, like you said, he was relentless, man. Tavares broke his nose like halfway through the second round, and you would have never noticed. I mean, the guy's leaking blood all over his face. Every time he got right back up, not a second deterred when he got knocked down, like Slick mentioned. And he just kept that relentless forward pressure in your face, stringing together kickboxing combinations, kicks to the body, right hand, left hooks. Like, I loved what I saw. All in all, well, Tavares is a tricky, slick boxer, switching stances on him, right? Like showing toughness of his own in a chin. It was a good fight. So against a guy like Armfield, Slick, I agree. He broke to Heastan. He broke to Onama. You don't think he's going to break to Cidi? This is a guy that breaks to pressure, tough, hard-nosed fighters, and I think Cidi's another one. Cal, do you think he could put him away?
Yeah, speaking to Cidi's just will, the guy's been fighting in rooms with these guys since he was 13. So he's been getting his ass kicked and dragged around the mat since he was little by guys like Elias Teodoro, guys like Josh Hill. There's multiple guys in this area, including Mike Malott and everybody else. So his will's there, and his striking, it's sort of a comparison. You guys can follow me on it or not. Ankalaev, as far as the stand-up, he plays very measured but can finish you when he needs to. That's sort of what Cidi is. Now, credit to Ramon Tavares. He crashed the pocket really well and switched stances and made it really difficult. But Cidi's a really well-measured striker, and he's got sneaky jiu-jitsu in his back pocket. So if this does go to the ground where Armfield likes to take it, I sort of wouldn't mind seeing a Cidi submission, maybe a guillotine, but that's just me. He's just a well-rounded fighter, and it's very interesting to see that everybody's back on the Canadian bandwagon this week. But I guess we only have Canadian choices.
Yeah, right. I mean, some hometown fighters got to come through for Canada here. They've been on a bad run. I think it feels like a good spot for them. Before Ramon Tavares and him threw down on an absolute slugfest, Cidi was actually trying to shoot takedowns. It didn't quite work, but goes to show he does have grappling that he wants to implement. So maybe he has to go to it in this fight. Could be an interesting look. All right, guys, Sergey Cidi, Slick report, minus 148. We all like it a lot. And that'll bring us forward to the Brasco breakdown.
Brasco's breakdown.
And this one, guys, I got to get you back. Oh, my goodness. Last week, what was it? Cercara? That lasted all 20 seconds. Shout out Slick, who was on Ivo Aslan. So, yeah, breakdown sucked. But that's all right. That's how MMA goes sometimes, right? You guys get punched in the face and you look pretty stupid. We'll move on. And this fight, I'm going to take a much more intelligent guy, a commodity that I know I can have a little more faith in. It's Aiemann Zahabi, another Canadian guy coming out of TriStar Gym in Montreal, coached by his brother, the renowned Firas Zahabi. And, of course, TriStar Gym home to Georges St-Pierre, fan favorite. So, popular gym. And those guys are very intelligent strikers. I think we're seeing Aiemann Zahabi in peak form. He's no spring chicken. He's getting up there in age. But against, in this matchup, against a guy in Pedro Munoz, a veteran striker, I think he's just going to be quicker to the punch. Munoz, I know, has faced really high-level competition throughout his career. He's a good kickboxer himself, losing to guys that you should have absolutely no shame in whatsoever. But at this point, he's just a punching bag. He's the guy getting hit and not returning. Even if it's on the guard, I think that Zahabi's going to be the guy scoring more often, returning fire with counter punches, and just angling off and being out of range where Munoz can't land that big shot and really have those big moments. I think Zahabi's going to be just cruising with that footwork, his lateral movement, and in and out of range. We saw him get a really nice win over Javid Basharat in his last one. And Basharat, I know, like Mr. Plus likes to say, the lesser of the Basharat brothers. Fareed is that guy now. But nonetheless, Javid is a good all-around fighter, and that's a tricky puzzle to solve. And Zahabi did it convincingly in a 29-28 unanimous win. We saw him knock Arichi Lung's lights out with a laser counter punch. Arichi Lung is a guy with a steel chin, so that was pretty impressive. We know he's got sick power. And if he's got to go to volume and play it smart, I think he can win on the scorecards against Munoz too. Tough guy that might take him the whole way. So I like Aiemann Zahabi. I like him to win by decision. And at -115, I think he's worth a bet right now. Slick, what are we feeling about Aiemann Zahabi in this spot?
Yeah, this is just a good spot to take Zahabi because Munoz is one of those guys that he wants to brawl. He wants to put his chin up in the air. We know his chin is made of granite. Guy's never been finished. And for the simple fact that Zahabi is just not going to give him that fight. Zahabi is going to make the fight boring. He's going to land the flashy counter strikes while Munoz is just trying to push forward, land some devastating kicks, and just trying to get into brawls. And Zahabi, we've seen it time and time again. He's going to wait for the opportunity. He's going to wait for his counter punches. And if you even try to go to the grappling, we know he has good defensive grappling, good defensive wrestling. So I just think this is a good spot to take Zahabi because you got one guy that's probably going to get mad or frustrated throughout the second and third round because he wants to brawl. He wants to get in there and just go hook for hook with somebody, So I just think Zahabi is going to have the more better fight IQ, going to land the flashier punches, and I just think this is one of those shots that Munoz is just too hittable for him not to land those flashy punches. So this is a good spot for Zahabi.
Yeah, man. I like what you said about his fight IQ. He's got it, man. And I just wanted to say one more thing before I throw it to you, Mr. Plus. Munoz's last good win is over Chris Gutierrez, and I don't want to take too much away from Gutierrez, but he's kind of been exposed for being a purely low kick artist. That's about it, and a lot of movement. So, I'm not rating that win that highly anymore. I don't think that ages that well. Prior to that, over Jimmy Rivera, sort of aging, middling veteran guy, decent fighter, but no huge wins as of late from Munoz. So, Mr. Plus, do you think he's over the hill? Do you think this is a hobby spot?
Man, it's hard to say. Munoz is still in there and trying to get it done. But at 38 years old, and I get it, Zahabi's 36. He's not far behind. It looks like almost 37, 36 in 11 months. Man, these guys are kind of old now that I look at this fight. The Basharat win was pretty impressive, although it's the weaker of the Basharat brothers. But I don't know. I guess I lean your way. I didn't really have a bet on this one. I'll tell you, I think this definitely goes the distance for sure. This is going to be a decision fight. I like the over. I like the decision. And I guess I'll ride with you guys because you know what? That last fight against Kyler Phillips, Munoz didn't look good, man. He got beat. And Kyler Phillips, what just happened to him? So, yeah, maybe I will ride with this Zahabi side, a little UFC math.
There you have it. Yeah, and I don't want to be too recency biased, but yeah, Phillips put it on Munoz and was recently exposed to being able to be beat by Font's pressure jab, pressure boxing attack. So yeah, styles make fights, of course, but it's always interesting to see how these wins age. Cal, what are you thinking about TriStar Gym's Ayman Zahabi?
Yeah, we cashed huge on Zahabi last time, big plus money dog, and I think just with his power and how he sort of lulls guys into his lower volume of striking, Munoz can bring his volume, but his differential is horrible. He gets punched in the face way too much, and if you get punched in the face by Zahabi, you might sleep. And if it goes to the ground, Zahabi's grappling is really underrated, so I'm not really worried about it there, and I just think it's a smart spot. This is a styles make fights thing, and I'm with you on the Zahabi thing.
Yeah, man. I love to hear it. Unanimous, Zahabi, and we like the decision as well. Unless, maybe Munoz, granite chin throughout his career. He's tough as they come. Maybe Zahabi, he's getting up there in age, can touch it. So is Zahabi. This is you wouldn't expect him to be 37 years old. But here we go. Nonetheless, coming into his form at 37, let's roll Ayman Zahabi. And let's move on to the dogs of the week. We got some interesting ones this week, guys. Some bangers with some veterans involved that have underdog price tags on them that we'll talk about. But first, let's go to Slick. This is one of the more competitive fights on the card at bantamweight. Who do you got?
Yeah, man, I'm going with my guy, Victor Henry, in this spot, man. I know a lot of people are going to be on Charles Air Jourdain, and I understand. At the end of the day, I was always a Charles Jourdain fan myself. I love the way he fights. And I just think this is a spot that I know is going to be close, probably split decision. Probably just because if it's a split decision, it might go to Charles Jourdain. But I think there's a chance that Victor Henry is able to just out-grind this guy, and that's really tough to say about, against a guy like Charles Jourdain. He's not one of those guys that get out-grinded. He's relentless with himself. But one thing I really disliked about him in his last couple fights is just his mental going into the fight, and the fact that he just doesn't know what to do. In that Charles Woodson fight, he couldn't figure out Woodson, so he ended up trying to go to his grappling, and then when his grappling wasn't working, he actually tried to go to his striking again, and then he found success in his striking, in the third round. And that's a little worrisome, because in that Gene Silva fight, when he couldn't get nothing going, he just didn't know what to do, like he was trying to get the takedowns. Gene Silva was stuffing him. And Charles Jourdain was just not one of those types of guys that, he was one of those types of guys that came into the fight going tit for tat, chin for chin. He has devastating opportunistic jiu-jitsu. But the one thing I know about Victor Henry is that I just know Victor Henry isn't going to shoot takedowns. Victor Henry is durable as fuck, never been finished. And the one thing I love about him is his cardio is going to be good for all 3 rounds. So this is a guy that's going to probably put out 30 to 40 punches each round without getting tired, against Charles Jourdain, who wants to fight, kind of clean. He wants to land those body kicks. He wants to land that devastating left hook, counter left hook. So I think this is a good spot for Victor Henry to just crowd the guy that wants it clean, get him in some clinch work, get him in some, spots that he's not used to being. So I like the spot, plus money on Victor Henry, and the line actually shows it. Everybody knows Charles Jourdain. A lot of people probably won't be on Victor Henry. He's not a known commodity, always on the prelims of these fight night cards. So I just think I like his relentlessness. So give me Victor Henry at plus money.
Very, very interesting look there. I mean, Slick's not wrong, Mr. Plus. It is a kind of sketchily close line. Charles Jourdain moving down to bantamweight, actually, for this fight, down from featherweight, so debut in the new weight class. But he is the popular name, Air Jourdain, at home in Canada, and he's just minus 125. Like Slick mentioned, he's fought to some bitter split decisions, 4 of them, in fact. So this one could be another one, a close one. How do you see this fight playing out, Mr. Plus?
Yeah, I'm not gonna tail that one, Slick. Unfortunately, gonna have to hit the fade button on that one. There's no fucking way I'm going against Air Jourdain in Canada, coming down a weight class to be the bigger guy in this division, 10 or 11 years younger. Maybe 3 or 4 fights ago, Victor Henry would have somewhat of a fighting chance, but I think this is going to be a highlight reel for Charles Jourdain. I don't see this going to the judges. I see Jourdain getting the finish here. And let's be honest, Sean Woodson is very, very tricky, and it was a split decision. And then Gene Silva, uppercut to hell. I mean, anybody that gets hit with that is going to sleep night. And some would say that Gene Silva is the only one who's going to be able to take on Ilya Topuria. So that loss is going to look pretty good after his next few fights, I think. I'm taking Air Jordan. And yeah, maybe I'm going to do KO or decision, but I think he can get the job done against an older Victor Henry. Not into that one. I got to hit the fade button on that.
There you go, bringing out the sound effects for it. I'm leaning Jourdain too. I think, Slick, you made a good case for Henry too. I don't know if the Spartan kick is going to be on display for the finish necessarily, but I do think we're going to have a good competitive scrap here. Jourdain's grappling is solid if they do grapple. So is Henry's. I think it's going to be a really competitive bout, but I like the guy debuting in the new weight class. So we'll see how it looks on him and see if he can fit in at bantamweight. Cal, what do you think about your boy Air Jourdain in Canada?
Jourdain thrives in chaos. I need plus money on him to hit, especially if it's going to go to decision a lot of the time. So I can't bet him if he's not plus money. I don't like this fight. I don't want to touch this fight. This fight scares me. Last fight, I was on Jourdain, and I kept screaming at the TV for him to kick the lead leg, and that did not happen. So I am not betting on this.
Yeah, Gene Silva, different beast. If he's the guy he's the one to defeat Ilya, I mean, that would be wild. Some people are saying Diego Lopez right now. Maybe it's Gene Silva from the shadows here, to be fair. Yeah, that was the first guy that ever knocked out Jourdain. But Slick pointing out the durability, too, of Victor Henry. I think we're in for a brawl in this one. Slick likes Victor Henry dog of the week. I'm going to move on now, guys, to the co-main event of the evening. And it's an important bout. In the women's flyweight division, Mini Plus is in the building. That's a good luck charm because ladies going after it.
Say hi. Say hi, Mini Plus.
Hello.
She should almost introduce Thug Rose Namajunas taking on Erin Blanchfield here. This is one of the best female fights that we've seen in a while, I feel like, on these fight night cards. And Rose proved me wrong in her last fight, man. She showed against Tracy Cortez, who I took as an underdog, that her footwork is still elite. Her boxing is still sharp. Her takedown defense is still sharp. And she can still go implement her own offensive wrestling and grappling. And I think that she's going to get back into the title picture, guys, with a win over Erin Blanchfield. I think she can do it. Blanchfield is a fantastic wrestler, but if that takedown defense is on display again, we've seen how hittable Blanchfield is. She's still a very basic striker, and she lacks boxing defense. Rose's footwork is going to be tough to track down. I mean, as boring and horrible of a fight as that Carla Esparza split decision championship erase it from our memory fight was, you know, it happened because footwork meets footwork, right? Guys kind of cancel each other out. And Blanchfield might be trying to track her down and having a tough time of it. So I could see her chasing Rose. I could see Rose ahead on the scorecards. This is a 5-round fight. Rose has that championship experience. Plus 115. Give me Thug Rose. Erin Blanchfield's still just 25 years old. She has time to lose to good fighters and come back. I think this is Rose's, kind of chance to get back in the picture, see if she's still got it, and she's going to get past Erin Blanchfield. Thug Rose Namajunas, plus 115. Mr. Plus, what are you thinking about her in this spot?
Nah, I always fade Thug Rose, boys. I am not a fan of Thug Rose. She's not a thug, in my opinion. There's nothing thug about her. I understand you're a woman who shaves your head, but absolutely no thug in her whatsoever. And you know who is an absolute thug? That's Erin Blanchfield from New Jersey. From New Jersey. She's a real thug. I think she takes that name from her. I think we see – honestly, I think she's going to be the stronger girl in there. I don't think Rose is going to be able to get back up. I think that this 25-year-old dog – is a dog. Now, they both lost to men on Filiot, and we were on Filiot, at least I was, on both times. So I kind of knew it was going to happen. Thug Rose ain't Filiot, bro. This ain't going down. Give me Erin Blanchfield. I might even parlay her. I'm confident. Fuck Thug Rose.
Heavy on Blanchfield.
Oh, this fight is definitely going the distance, by the way.
I could see it going the whole way. It's a 5-rounder. Slick, how do you see this fight playing out?
Yeah, this is a fight that, man, I really didn't want to pick either one before watching tape. But after watching tape, I think this is actually a good spot for Blanchfield, man. I think Blanchfield, one thing we know about her is that she doesn't wilter. She's going to go to her wrestling no matter what. You know, like she tried to go to her wrestling all 5 rounds against Fiorot. But the one thing difference between Fiorot and Rose is Fiorot's takedown defense is probably the best we ever seen in the women's division. Like her takedown defense is fucking elite. Like, and one thing that we've seen Rose is when people actually want to go to the wrestling against her, people have had success. You know, Tracy Cortez, I would say that she was more of a wrestler, but you know, she was going through missing weight for the first time. First 5 round fight and probably I believe her first 5 round fight in her whole career. So the one thing that I really looked at was whenever Rose was fighting wrestlers, I'm not comparing Blanchfield to Wei Lee, but if Blanchfield is able to implement that same type of game plan and just hold Rose Namajunas down, I believe this is a 3 round fight. So if this is a 3 round fight,
It's 5 rounds.
that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. So I was about to say if it's a 3 round fight, you know, you maybe lean Rose because I think Rose could probably inflict some damage. But I think 5 rounds favors more Blanchfield than anything because if this fight goes to the ground more often than not, I think Rose Namajunas probably is more satisfied with her trying her jujitsu rather than trying to get up. So I think this is a good spot for Blanchfield to get a bounce back win. And Rose is just gonna be Rose. You know, she's gonna be the Jessica Andrade's, the type of girls that you need to beat to really be up on the top contenders.
Fair enough. Plus and Slick liking Blanchfield. I'm liking Namajunas. Maybe not so much of a thug with her beekeeping and organic gardening, perhaps not the thug moniker, but Cal, you think she got that thug in her in this fight? Perhaps are you on my side?
I gotta back you, man. I think that atrocious fight that she had in the championship belt where she lost the belt has just left a bad taste in everybody's mouth, and everybody's saying she's not a thug. But I'll be real with you. Blanchfield's striking is atrocious. It's really bad. Like she just marches forward, looks a little, I don't know, man. Her head's just up in the air. It's really, really bad. And the first level of takedown defense is footwork. And Rose's footwork is high level. So you were right on the nail on the head there with that, Brasco. So I just think that, you know, Rose may get taken down 2 or 3 times, but she's going to volume this girl when they're on the feet. That jab is going to push that head back. And I think you're going to see a huge volume differential in this one with maybe 3 takedowns for Blanchfield. But, you know, give me Thug Rose all day at plus money. She's one of my greatest ROI situations.
Let's go, Cal. Also, don't forget, she broke her hand early in that Firo fight and still fought hard and won a round. She even cracked Firo a couple times, some good shots. So, yeah, she lost, but I was impressed the way she fought through that broken finger, I believe. So,
my dog of the week, Brasco. I'm with you.
Let's go. Ooh. The pot is split, but you got takes on either side of the board. So there you go. It's like Hollywood Squares right now. That's my dog of the week. Plus, you got an interesting one. This is a fight that I was scared to have an opinion on. Talk to me about it.
You know, it's hard to pick a dog on this card. I'll be honest with you. I'm not into that many dogs on this card, but I am going to take a shot at Brenson Ribeiro. Coming up in weight, is he, right? He's going to, is he fighting?
I actually think his opponent, Kyle Machado, is coming down in weight.
Coming down. Okay. Well, he should too, taking his last 2 L's to Dontel Mays and Mick Parkin. Those aren't the best looks, man. And I'm not saying that Ribeiro's not coming off his own 2 losses, but I just think he can get him. I think this could be a good spot for him. I think he's going to have a snappier jab, be able to keep a little bit of distance. He's got a little bit of a reach advantage, and I really like what he can do on his feet. So I'm going to take a shot here. I'm not a big Kyle Machado believer, and he is coming down in weight. But after those 2 L's that he took, man, yeah, I feel like this guy could even be on his way out of the UFC. So I am taking a plus money shot on Ribeiro. And I think he can get it done by knockout, boys.
He does have explosive striking. He's going to be dangerous early on. Machado just got here on Contender Series. He beat Kevin Shaflarsky. That was a bad fight. But Machado, yeah, going to come down to light heavyweight. So we'll see how he looks in the new weight class. Slick, he's got toughness. He's kind of gritty, and he's got some heart. I don't know. Can he drag Ribeiro into deep waters, or is he just going to get starched?
Yeah, I honestly think that Ribeiro has a chance probably within the first 2 minutes to starch Kyle Machado. But I've never seen a guy fall off a cliff more than Ribeiro in his last couple fights. Like, the guy throws everything within the first 3 minutes. And if he's able to knock you out within the first 3 minutes, then so be it. But after those 3 minutes, man, this guy his hands just go to his hip. I remember one fight I seen him as soon as they got away, put his hands on his hip like he was mad tired. I'm not trusting Ribeiro, and I'm not trusting Kyle Machado because he has zero to little striking defense. He does not. He blocks punches with his face. He has a granite chin, but at the end of the day, he's coming down a weight class. So how that was up a weight. So how is he gonna react to the weight cut? And Ribeiro is just gonna be probably live for the first 3 minutes. So I'm taking this fight to not go the distance. 1,000% sure.
Yeah, Machado was kind of undersized at heavyweight anyway, so it might be a good look. I actually saw him on Instagram. He looks kind of ripped. He looks like a little bit different, kind of flabby at heavyweight. We'll see how it looks. Mr. Plus thinking Ribeiro live for maybe a round 1 knockout. And Machado, I don't know. We'll see if he's got something.
I like the speed advantage, too. He's going to have a big speed advantage, so hopefully he doesn't gas out in those 3-minute slicks that we have for the victory there.
There you go.
Machado is not him. I'm not really a big fan, but I might look at the over on this. I do sort of like Ribeiro and him getting him out early, but just because the overs have been cashing, I just want to see if there's value on it. That's all.
Interesting. Maybe you play Ribeiro round 1, Machado rounds 2 or 3. And if it doesn't go the distance like Slick likes, you're cashing on one of those sides, hopefully. All right, guys, let's come together and let's lace up a Darce parlay.
Headlock. It involves encircling the opponent's neck with the crook of one's arm, while the other arm wraps around the opponent's arm, applying pressure, leading to a tap or unconsciousness.
Tap into the Darce Podcast.
Yeah, baby. 3 legs, 1 leg apiece. And we got some Canadians to bring us home, along with some talk on a fight that we've yet to get to. It's an important one. First, let's start off with Mr. Plus in order of the fights. Who do you got for us?
Yeah, I'm adding this guy to the Darce parlay this week, and I think he's going to get it done, as it is the first fight, so hopefully we don't bust the Darce in the first leg. However, I'm taking Marc-Andre Barriault in his home country. I mean, before he had those 2 L's on his record, but by Chris Curtis, and then Joe Pfeiffer, of course, got the KO. We all remember that. He had a couple good wins against Julian Marquez and Eric Anders. And I remember I had money on him in both of those fights. So I'm looking to get back in the win column with my guy, Marc-Andre Barriault, as well. But I'm also just fading Dustin Stoltzfus after that severe spinning elbow KO that he took by Bruno Ferreira and the Abus Magomedov kick to the face. We'll never forget those memes, my dude. Your only recent wins against Punahele Soriano, who got kicked out of the UFC. He's not even there anymore, I believe. I'm taking Marc-Andre Barriault to get back in the win column. And whether you believe it or not, I think he's a big Canadian fan favorite, and they could use him still in the UFC. So I think he gets the win here.
I like it, man. Marc-Andre, the power bar, just outpacing, outgrinding guys, right? And he likes to get you in the clinch, dirty boxing, grind, drive that head position. Like, he just makes it ugly in fights. So I think he can do just that in this spot and wear on his opponent. Slick, do you think Marc-Andre Barriault delivers a classic power bar performance?
Yeah, Dustin Stoltzfus is just a lesser version of Marc-Andre Barriault. He's one of those guys that doesn't have, Marc-Andre has more power, but Dustin Stoltzfus doesn't have power. He just waits for you to wilter. And when you wilter, he's able to take advantage of you. Either you knock him out early or he's able to just survive. And next thing you know, you gas out trying to knock him out, and he's able to submit you or just take over with the wrestling. Marc-Andre Barriault is probably 3 times better than that, but with more power. This is a good spot for him for a bounce back. He's fighting a guy that he doesn't. The only time Marc-Andre really loses is when he's facing good, huge power punchers. Cheating the Jukwani, Joe Pfeiffer, his last fight. So this is just a spot that he's not going to have to worry about the power coming back to him. He's going to implement, he's going to be there for all 3 rounds. So honestly, man, I've been doing a little bit more research, and Marc-Andre Barriault might be a part of a max play for me, man. I think this is a good spot for him. Good bounce back. He has the defensive wrestling to go if it goes there. Only guy to beat him for real in the wrestling is Fluffy, and no shame in that right now. So I'm gonna go with Marc-Andre Barriault, and I'm just waiting for a good parlay piece that I'm willing to parlay him with.
Very interesting. Only minus 200 right in there. So Mr. Plus, you got Slick is loving your Darce leg. He's looking to make it part of a big bet. Cal, the only concern, Slick alluded to it, would be Stoltzfus' grappling, really, right? I believe, yeah, if it's a back and forth striking affair, Barriel's good to go in a grinder like that. That's his fight to win. Do you think that his grappling defense can hold up if it needs to? Or are you worried about Stoltzfus at all against your Canadian homie?
No, I think I'm good with it. I think coming out of Killcliff, he trains hard with a big group of killers, and he's constantly grinding with his grappling. So I think on the cage, he'll be just fine. I don't think this is going to get to the ground, and I'm not too worried. I mean, opportunistic submissions can happen, but I think volume, cardio, solid camp, Barrio bounce back. Let's go.
Yeah, and good experience, too. I like it, Mr. Plus. We all like it. All right, Marc-Andre Barriault. Next leg on the Darce is going to be up to Slick. And we're going back to another Canadian. Who we got?
Yeah, we already spoke highly of this guy. We're going to go with Mike Malott. I'm just hoping he goes to the wrestling, get the grappling going. Early submission, no sweat for the Canadian fans.
He wants right to the floor, right to the mat. Take over. I like it, man. And we'll close it out with the main event of the evening. Oh, baby. It's Brandon, the assassin baby. I almost said Royval. Moreno. Taking on Amir Albazi. And, well, Moreno's coming off a split decision loss to Brandon Royval. In fact, 4 of his 5 UFC losses, guys, have been to champions or former champions or title contenders like Royval. Davison Figueiredo, Alexander Pantoja, his kryptonite, and Royval, a guy that should be next up. And I think that elite level of competition that Moreno has faced will make him ready to defeat Amir Albazi, who I thought should have lost to Kai Kara-France in his last fight. Albazi, we know, physical grappler, great strength, big power in his overhand shots and in his hooks. But, you know, he's lower volume. And Brandon Moreno's got toughness. He's got amazing pace, 5-round championship experience. He's always moving, constantly throwing, and he's got great grappling defense. I mean, Kai Kara-France has good defense, and that was good enough to handle a lot of the grappling advances from Albazi. I think Moreno's defense and scrambling ability even better, right? And can maybe even implement his own wrestling. So he's fought guys like, you know, Pantoja level. I think he's going to be able to deal with Albazi here. And Albazi maybe gets, like Cal likes to say, a little level check. So give me the assassin baby, Brandon Moreno. Again, only 30 years old. It's not like he's out of a title picture and he's, you know, he's shot because he's fought all these guys. He's been a young baby, the assassin baby, fighting these guys his entire career at the top level. And I think he proves it in this spot. Level check time. Give me Brandon Moreno to close it out. Guys, in the main event, Mr. Plus, what are you thinking? Do we like Moreno?
I agree. Big level check here. I like Brandon Moreno to get the job done. The assassin baby. Man, this guy's exciting to watch, and people love this guy. But when you're beating Davison Figueiredo.
You don't know my name, do you?
And that happened. Obviously, they fought 50 times. But he got him last time. The KO, the doctor stoppage. When you can beat a guy like that, I think you can take a guy like Amir Albazi. And again, I don't want to do UFC math for us, but I was never that high on Kai Kara-France, but it was a split decision. Although Kai Kara-France's last win was awesome against Urseg, right? We all saw that. But I just think Moreno is a different level. He's getting back in the win column. They're doing this on purpose. Of course, they're giving Albazi a shot, but give me the assassin baby to finish out the Darce all day.
Let's go. Slick, is it unanimous on Moreno here?
Yes, Brandon Moreno is definitely a good spot for him. The one thing that we actually seen in that Kai Kara-France, that Brandon Moreno, I really hope he watches tape, you know, just like we do, was Kai Kara-France volume in that fight. He was not worried about the clean fight. And that's what Albazi wants, you know, like we seen even in the Alexandre Costa fight that he fought. He was waiting for that counter punch, just waiting for that clean check hook. And Kai Kara-France just did not let him load up on it. He was crowding the pocket every time. And that's one thing that we know about Brandon Moreno. I will say, to play devil's advocate, the one thing I hate about Brandon Moreno is just his striking defense. Like, he will eat one to give one. And the one concern I will have about Albazi in this spot is if this comes down to like a close round, Albazi might win a round because of a short knockdown. You know, Brandon Moreno not worried about his chin and he gets knocked down, because that's what we seen in that Davison Figueiredo fight. You know, Davison in that not the KO stop it, the one Davison Figueiredo won. You know, Davison Figueiredo was able to win the moments, was able to, you know, in those close rounds, knock down Brandon Moreno and get the round. So this is going to be Albazi's. I believe he fought Kai Kara-France in a 5-round fight, if I'm not mistaken. So if it's not, then I believe will be his first 5-round fight. So first 5-round fight against Brandon Moreno is gonna be tough as fuck, man, because he's gonna be putting the kitchen sink out on you. He's gonna, whenever you try to get the wrestling going, he's gonna try to submit you. He's gonna not settle on the ground. So this is gonna be like you guys said, a level check for Albazi. So I'm just hoping he doesn't get knocked down each round. So let's go, Brandon Moreno.
It is true, man. He's got big power, and maybe he can steal some moments by, if Moreno's wearing more damage. But I think the kicks are going to make a huge difference, just the constant activity and volume of Moreno. So, yeah, it was a 5-rounder. You're right, against Kai Kara. So Albazi has been 5 before. We'll see how it holds up against the pace of Moreno. Cal, what are you thinking about the main event of the evening?
If an on-point Moreno shows up, it's Moreno's night, plain and simple. If he even wavers a little bit, Albazi does have the tools to do it, but I think obviously we know he lost that fight against Kai Kara France, and is he at that level? I think it is a level check, and I think if Moreno even decides to show up, it's a night for it all, whether it's a decision or a late finish.
Let's see Moreno show up here and get it done for the Darce. Plus 227 on Marc-Andre Barriel, Mike Malott, and Brandon. I keep almost doing that. And Brandon Moreno. Music to
little Freudian slip. Little Freudian. We know who you liked. What Latin man you like better?
I guess. I mean, no, been a huge Brandon Moreno fan. That's all Slick, the Royval train. I guess Royval is next up. I'm manifesting it for Slick. All right, guys. It's time to talk about the honorable mentions. The fights we haven't talked about yet, and there's some really good ones. If you haven't yet, by the way, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe if you aren't yet, and let us know what you're thinking about some of our picks down below. We appreciate you guys watching. It's Derek, the Black Beast Lewis, taking on Jonata Diniz, the Brazilian kickboxer, and Mr. Plus, Lewis is plus 150. I mean, I was surprised at the price tag. They just think he's over the hill. We've seen him, even in his old age, land flying switch knees. Can he not do it again and recreate the magic?
Derek Lewis is a live dog, boys and girls, at plus 150. This is a very live dog. He could get this KO. Diniz has not fought anyone near the competition as Derek Lewis. Derek Lewis is a big, bad man. Don't forget it. He's been up there and out there with some of the best in the world. I mean, this guy has been in there with everybody. And it just seems like whenever he fights somebody that's a little bit less competition, that's on the up and coming, he gets the best of them. And I'd say the only one he didn't do that against was Jailton Almeida, but we all know about Jailton Almeida. But Rodrigo Nascimento, the KO. Marcos Rodrigo, the flying knee. Yeah, I think this Diniz guy, we've made some money on him the last 2 fights, but we're going to make some money fading him this fight, boys. Give me the Black Beast by KO. He doesn't seem to age. But Diniz is a late 33, just so we're clear. He's not some 27-year-old, 25-year-old. Dude's 33 years old. He's not a spring chicken. I'm going with the Black Beast. Like, there's nothing that's going to say, my balls is hot.
Let's get in my balls is hot moment here, too. I mean, I agree. Look, Slick, stylistically, he could be in trouble. I mean, Diniz is a pretty slick striker for the weight class, right? And Lewis, has been able to did it against Rogerio de Lima, in that amazing switch knee where you knew he was looking to grapple Lewis. So you're in for a striking affair here, but he's the all-time knockout leader. I mean, like Mr. Plus said, he's fighting nobody but giants at heavyweight. Like, does he deserve to be the underdog here? Oh, you're muted.
I don't believe so, man, but this is just a bad matchup for him, like you said. Like, Diniz is going to put the pressure on him. Derek Lewis is one of those types of guys that he wants to keep the distance a little bit so he could wind up on that hook, and I just don't think Diniz is going to give it to him, Like, at the end of the day, I'm not going to bet on Diniz because you're going from Austin Lane and Carl Williams to Derek Lewis, and I'm not going to bet on that. At the end of the day, this is a fight that I might just bet Derek Lewis. I think this is 3 rounds. So maybe Derek Lewis round 1 KO if I get maybe plus 200 or more. But yeah, Denise, if he wants, the one thing that we know about Derek Lewis, all his losses are guys that put the pressure on him, put him against the cage, and next thing you know, he's just waiting for that one right hook that almost never lands. But when he lands it, like against guys like Volkov and guys like that, I just think that if Denise puts some volume out there, I think he could probably get a knockout on Derek Lewis. But I'm not betting on Denise. Maybe round 1 KO for Derek Lewis.
I do agree, though. I think this fight is not seeing the judges' scorecards, that's for sure. And if Lewis decides to wrestle, which he very well might, I know he's not known for it, but Denise, he hasn't proven his takedown defense. Austin Lane kept him down for an entire round. Maybe Lewis ends up on top, and that's a scary place to be with Derek Lewis raining down bombs. Cal, I know you're taking the shot on Lewis knockout, right?
Well, I mean, this is literally a value win condition play. Derek, like you guys are talking about that Denise is striking and all this and that, it's going to be on the feet. That's great, but that you're giving the win condition to Derek Lewis. His only major win condition is KO. So if he's one of the leading leading KO artists, heavyweights be heavyweights, he's the dog. Right now, his KO prop is sitting at plus 175. It likely won't move no matter what. Even if the line moves a little bit, it'll likely sit around that because he's likely going to knock him out if he touches him. These gloves have been a little bit different. Overs have been cashing, that's fine. But Derek Lewis is different. Denise gets touched, he goes to sleep. So depending on where the line goes, I might just hit a money line or I'll hit the KO prop. But I mean, he's given his win condition. There's no grappling going on here. It just seems like as a gambler, this is a bet.
I like it, man. And if there is any grappling, it's because Lewis wants to be the one doing it. So yeah, you don't have to worry about he's on his back, like Jailton Almeida had him in top mount for 5 straight rounds. So let's root for him. I know we'll all be pulling for him. Let's go, Derek Lewis. My balls was hot. Who else do we have to talk about? We've got 2 other big fellas getting after it. Alexander Romanov as an underdog against Rodrigo Nascimento. And this is a weird fight here. I mean, Romanov, where do we rate him at this point, right? He has amazing top pressure once he gets his grappling control in the first round. He can put it on you, but he's fatigued late in fights. Do we trust his cardio to hold up? He's an underdog against the guy in Rodrigo Nascimento that's, slick. He's got split decisions against Tanner Bozer and guys like that. These are your favorite. Blagoy Ivanov on the record of some of these guys. Some of your favorite fighters, right, Slick?
Yeah, at the end of the day, man, Romanov is just trash. This is I would say an overweight guy that gets, let's say if he goes to McDonald's and orders a burger and it doesn't go his way, he's just one of those kids that just throws a tantrum. In his perspective, he just gets tired. This guy just gets exhausted like there's no tomorrow. He wants to quit. If I'm telling you right now, if he does not land the takedown within the first minute, Nascimento will finish this guy because Romanov gas tank has shown to be horrible. The only time it actually looked somewhat good was because he didn't implement no type of wrestling against the Blagoy Ivanov. That don't get me started with him. So I'm fading Romanov just because he's trash. I don't believe he's UFC material. Striking's trash. Wrestling is good because he's just bigger than a lot of guys, so he just throws them over them. And then next thing you know, if the guy gets up, he's tired. He doesn't even want nothing no more. So Rodrigo Nascimento should be able to, even if the fight goes to the ground, he has good jiu-jitsu. I don't think Romanov has any type of power after that. He only got two knockout early with them gorilla hands. Other than that, everybody's eating them gorilla hands. So I'm picking Nascimento, and I'm going to pick Nascimento by submission.
Wow, you think he gets maybe a gassed out Romanov folds. Mr. Plus, he was plus 105. I was halfway considering throwing a little half unit on Romanov and thinking maybe he mauls him in the first round, but Slick is making me reconsider that. What do you think?
I'd have to see his weigh-in first. This guy looked terrible the last few weigh-ins, and when he was 235, I think back when he fought Chase Sherman or something, man, I feel like we all thought this guy could be the next heavyweight champ or something. But then again, it's Chase Sherman and Jared Vandera. You're beating up cans, older guys that used to fight. I don't know, man. I kind of want to be like Slick and just fade him automatic, but I want to see him on the scale. If he looks flabby and fat and out of shape, I'm going to fade him. If he looks like he's halfway in shape, I might take him.
That is a huge. Let's look at him on the scales. You're right, because Slick, he didn't grapple at all last fight. He had 3-round cardio because he did a low volume kickboxing affair against another low. It was not a fun fight to watch. But can he mix together grappling and striking and sustain 3 rounds? I'm not sure. Remember that forearm choke against Marcus Rogerio de Lima, where he just put him to sleep with his forearm? That was savage, and that's when we thought Mr. Plus he might be a commodity, but. Yeah, it turns out now we're kind of sketched on him. We'll see how that weird one plays out. I'll lead Romanov, but I'm going to look stupid if he loses. And then we have, finally, Jamie Lynn Horth versus Ivana Petrovic in a fight that I have zero opinion about whatsoever. Is this the Henny break of the night, Slick?
Actually, I'm going to take the dog shot in this spot. I'm going to take Ivana Petrovic. I'm gonna just say this right now. I really didn't do any type of tape study. I watched one fight of Jamie Lynn Horth's career, and that was her fight that she actually won in the UFC against Haley Cowan. And I would just say she's probably one of the worst girls to be a minus 215 favorite over anybody. Like Malachi could get in that ring right now with her, and Malachi will fuck around and be the favorite. So I'm not too high on the girl. Outside the UFC, she was just so used to finishing girls. Now, especially in her last fight against Veronica Hardy, her striking defense was atrocious. She could not get a takedown to save her life. I'm not ready to back her in any type of spot that she's a favorite. So I'm going to take the dog in Ivana Petrovic.
I kind of agree, but for reference of new viewers, Malachi is Slick's 5-year-old son, so that's what he thinks. I agree. Dog or pass spot. Mr. Plus, what do you think?
Dog or pass? I'm going based on looks here. I like Ivana Petrovic's look better. She's definitely a better looking girl. I hate this Jamie Lynn Horth's face, and her Tapology picture is ridiculous. She needs to take a new one. I'm just going based on looks, but let's not forget the last fight, the actual good girl fight that we got, the Lipsy girl.
I was
JJ.
JJ. Don't worry, I was not going to forget it. I was saving it for the last fight of the night. It's friend of the channel, Jasmine Jasdavicius, taking on Ariane, Queen of Violence Lipsky. This is a really good matchup here. And obviously we have a little bit of bias because Jasdavicius, given a shout out, you see her in the intro, and she's just a dog. She embodies the values of the Darce, right? That relentless pressure and determination and no quit attitude. Always down for a nasty fight, always bringing the fight to her opponents and just kind of making them quit, right? Just breaking their will, which is something I love in her. Now, she's got her hands full against Ariane Lipsky. I think this is actually a really good competitive fight. My concern for Jasdavicius with that style is that it makes her a little bit hittable, right? All that pressure, she's there to get hit. Lipsky's got a cracking right hand, man. She has a good counter right, left hooks there. She's gotten better as her UFC career has progressed. And I think that she can give Jasdavicius a good fight. She'll probably end up getting grappled a lot, so she'll have to deal with that attack that a lot of people fold to. But we saw, in Jasdavicius' last fight against Fatima Klein, pretty, decent boxer there. She can get hit, so she's going to have to walk through damage. Mr. Plus, do you think she does that successfully and gets a W?
I want to say this isn't biased at all, but since she did that intro for us, I got to be biased. But let's not forget, last time JJ fought in Canada, she beat the shit out of Miranda Maverick as a huge underdog. So you're going to give me her at minus 205 now against Lipsky. I think she's fought some better competition already and ran through it. Don't get me wrong. I did take an L with her against the Tracy Cortez. As a matter of fact, I've bet Jasmine Jasdavicius in last 3 out of her 4 fights, and she's won for me 3 out of those 4. So I'm going to take her again by decision. Again, that'll probably get you plus money, maybe a plus 105 look, something like that. There's no way I'm not going with JJ. Don't get me wrong here. Ariane Lipsky is not just a slouch, and she's not just going to lay down. But as far as level of competition goes for me, with the Miranda Maverick win, and you already fought the Tracy Cortez, and then that last fight against that Fatima, who everyone thought was just going to come in there and beat her up at her own game. Nah, man, you saw JJ put her chin down. She's a dog. She's nonstop, relentless, aggressive attack. I think she gets the job done for us all fucking day. Give me JJ again with the dice.
Yeah, she's the one throwing it up. We love it. Man, that would be awesome if she laced up a Darce choke. Cal, you think JJ could get it done for us?
Yeah, a couple things. In her last 3 fights, she brought her striking defense from getting hit 5.5 times a minute down to only 3. She's got an equal strike differential now, so she's getting much better with that. But if you look at it, it was actually her last time she fought was in Toronto. She fought Priscilla Cachoeira, and she landed 326 total strikes, 93 of them significant, and a lot of these are actually on the ground. So if you look at this matchup with Karine Silva, she took down Ariane Lipski 5 times, but she attacked submissions. Jazz does not. She attacks crucifixes, and she wants to put an elbow in your jaw piece. She wants to finish you, and that's just it. Jasmine, in this situation, I think she is going to be tested on the feet. I think she might even get cracked, and on the way in, she does take one to give one, but she's going to get on those entries right away. She's going to get her up against the cage, and the one thing that we've seen about Ariane Lipski is she sort of breaks mentally. When things aren't going her way, she can sort of break. She needs things to go her way. If they don't, we've seen it in the past. For me, it's all day JJ. One of my bets of the week is Jasmine Jasudavicius and fight to start round 2. So whatever that is, I'm going to hammer that spot. And I might even see a late sub prop again in this one, man. Takes Lipski's back and takes that neck.
Oh, man, I like it, man. I love the point about Silva, which is Lipski's last loss, Karine Silva, and Jasmine Jasudavicius' ground game style, right? That could be the big difference there if Jasudavicius just hammering punches away, not looking for subs, but always hunting for more damage, Slick. Do you think she gets the win by being that aggressive fight?
Yeah, this is just one spot that I actually DM'd Jasmine, and I gave her probably the most perfect game plan. This was one of the fights that I really went to tape study. At the end of the day, I really wanted to, Jasmine did the shout out for us. And Jasmine, if you ever hear this Darce podcast, if you ever hear this take right here, at the end of the day, Ariane Lipski cannot stuff a double leg takedown to save her life. At the end of the day, when you try to get into the crucifix position, she's going to try to lift you up. That's the perfect opportunity to take advantage and tie her hand up. If you're able to tie that hand up, we've seen this girl time and time again in crucifixes and get ground and pounded. She's not going to try to wilt. She's going to wilt her once she doesn't go for it. She's going to go for one huge burst after that. And then once she doesn't get that burst, she's just going to stay there. She's not one of those girls that wants this opportunistic submission. So you're not going to have to worry about her going for crazy arm bars or stuff like that. So Jasmine, get the double leg, get into that crucifix position and rain down with some elbows, because I will be betting Jasmine by KO in this spot. Now, I might sprinkle the the KO and the sub just in case. But I think if Jasmine gets this fight her way, I think a finish is more likely to come, because we've seen Ariane Lipski get finished twice by ground and pound by girls way lesser grapplers than Jasmine Jasudavicius, and way less relentless wrestlers to get the fight down to the ground like Jasmine is. So I think this is a good spot for her to get a finish and get the crowd pumping for Canada.
Let's go. She would deliver that performance for Canada. They'd be on their feet, and that should be good plus money if you get her by finish there. I mean, I like it, man. The crucifix, if that comes out, oh, man, that's going to be nasty work there for JJ. Get it done for the Darce channel, guys. All right, man, we've covered every fight on this UFC Edmonton card. My guys, Mr. Plus Money, Slick Montana, and Cal on the 1s and 2s, giving you takes.
Canada, our home. Yeah, I know you guys don't want to hear this. No American wants to hear this, but we need a win, so let's go.
You need a win as bad as the Yankees need a win in the World Series right now. One more day, I'm going to wear this hat. On behalf of myself, Danny Brasco, Slick Montana, Mr. Plus Money, and Cal on the 1s and 2s, hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And good luck if you're tailing any bets. UFC Edmonton. Peace.